The Story of Josanna. By Eric Hua. Chapter 19, My Name is Josanna. Within Josanna's mind she began to see someone she had met through her journey, Rice.
Oh great, now I'm seeing you in my mind? I must be really going crazy.
Same attitude as always. You never change.
So you got anything to help me out this time? Maybe a lion or something that can fight that massive beast.
He shook his head, asking her a question she had heard before.
Tell me, who are you?
Please, not this again. I need something that can defeat that stupid annoying monster.
Suddenly, Josanna took a look at Rice's face and he seemed dead serious for once. She knew better than to continue talking and remained silent.
When you can answer that question honestly without any doubt, all will be made clear. Not even some silly creature will be able to stop you.
Finally, Josanna took his words to heart and somehow she began to understand what he was trying to say. She then looked up again to find that the man was about to disappear.
Wait. I have a question for you. What or who are you?
He stopped for a moment and replied while smiling.
You already know. Now go save your parents. They waited long enough.
He disappeared from her mind but not before Josanna had one last thing to say.
Thank you.
Back to the battlefield, Josanna was now fully conscious and re-engaged against her foe. She had a sudden burst of energy that allowed her to break free from the bind of the eyes. Catching her opponent unexpectedly, she made a dash towards the sword.
Oh no, you ain't getting anywhere near that.
The monster began to open up more eyes but before it could do so, Hammer jumped onto it and began scratching them.
What is this disgusting rodent doing here? Get away from our eyes!
Its limbs were unable to reach the little hamster as it scurried around, from eye to eye. Realizing it was just wasting time on the hamster, the creature attempted to open a different eye but the raccoon that helped Josanna on its journey to Wetanwa appeared and scratched its other eyes.
Where are all these annoying furballs coming from?
Eventually the creature was able to shake both the critters away but by the time that happened, Josanna had reclaimed the sword in her hands. When she made contact with the sword, she began to see visions of when she was just an infant and how both her parents deeply cared for her. The sight of those visions gave her strength and she turned to the aspect of hatred with fierce conviction.
Don't think just because you have a weapon, that makes you all-powerful and mighty.
It said with false confidence, hiding the fact it was quite afraid. It tried to open multiple eyes to get the jump on her but Josanna rushed in with blistering speed and landed multiple slashes, severely damaging the beast.
The sword doesn't make me who I am. But it does make it much easier to cut you down.
The aspect of hatred had finally lost its patience and began acting out recklessly, which proved to be its downfall. It could never land another hit against Josanna, who easily evaded all its attacks and found the appropriate time to strike. Having exhausted nearly all its energy, the beast fell down to one knee in disbelief.
This is impossible. How could we lose again to some insignificant human? Who are you?
With confidence she announced to the beast.
My name is Josanna. Warrior of Haven, proud student of Esther. Daughter to Waswa and Claire and Olonga. Protector of those who cannot defend themselves. And most importantly, nightmare to you.
The aspect made one last war cry before running towards Josanna with all its remaining energy. Without even moving her feet, Josanna made one swift motion with her sword. The creature stood still for a moment but finally crumbled down on the ground as its body began to wither. The monster had finally been slain and upon its defeat, the radiant light from Josanna faded away and she returned back into her normal self. She immediately ran back to both her parents hoping she wasn't too late. Claire Anne was already with Waswa, who had suffered a fatal wound on his right shoulder. Although the bleeding had decreased a bit, his condition was not improving. He was doing his best to keep it together and endure the pain.
No! Waswa, you ain't going anywhere.
I'm sorry. This whole war happened because I couldn't admit I was wrong. I let my pride get the best of me. And because of it, you and Josanna suffered the most. Please forgive me.
You ain't getting off that easy. Come on, Waswa, you survived worse than this.
Waswa was still in much pain, but he still managed to endure it as he saw Josanna walking in to see him.
Dad, why?
Josanna, come here.
She moved closer so she could hear his voice.
When I saw you trying to hold that sword back in Watama, I had a feeling it was you. That sword has a special inscription on it that only your mother, me and yourself can hold without their hands burning. I know our time has been short, but I am so proud of the woman you have become. Because of you, there is hope for all our people to live in harmony once again.
But Dad, what about you?
I am very grateful for the life I have been given. My only regret is that I couldn't spend more time with both you and your mother. But I'm glad I got to see you both one last time.
Both Josanna and Claire Anne couldn't think of any words to say as their emotions had taken over and they were filled with tears.
Josanna,
Yes, Dad.
take care of your mother.
Waswa's eyes closed and there was no longer any strength in his body. Claire Anne and Josanna embraced each other as they grieved over a sorrowful sight. They knew that he would no longer be able to physically be with them, but his spirit would live on and watch over them. However, that did not make the moment any less painful. As they continued to grieve, Hammer and the raccoon went up to the both of them to try and comfort them. They both appreciated their efforts, but then Josanna looked carefully at the raccoon to see what it was doing. It looked as if it wanted their attention, so they both looked to where the raccoon ran towards as someone had arrived.
Rice! You are here!
Sorry, Josanna, but who is this?
Josanna tried to explain, but in her head she didn't really know how to describe who Rice was without her mother thinking he was just some weird traveler.
It's quite all right. Who I am isn't important. But I'm glad you finally figured out who you are.
So what are you doing here exactly? I'm pretty confident you didn't just stop by to say hi.
You are learning. I'm here because I have been given a special task, but in order to fulfill this task, I need to borrow someone.
Who do you need?
Josanna asked, and he pointed to Waswa. Immediately Claire Anne grew defensive and wrapped her arms around Waswa's body.
No! You can't take him from us just yet. Please, just a little more time.
As she spoke, she continued to cough profusely. Her condition was getting worse.
Time is not something any of you can afford to waste. If you hang on to him any longer, you will lose more than just him.
Claire Anne had no idea what the man was saying, and neither did Josanna. But Josanna had been around Rice enough to know that he was a trustworthy man. She walked up to her mother and kindly spoke to her.
Mom, please, I think he can help us.
It was tough, but she eventually let go of Waswa and allowed Rice to take him away. Claire Anne was about to step aside, but Rice asked for her to stay by Waswa's side for a moment. He stood up with his hands up towards the sky, saying some words that couldn't be heard clearly. Josanna waited, and a light shone down on both her parents for a moment before disappearing. Rice began to move away. As he did, Waswa's eyes began to open up and his wounds had been completely healed. Claire Anne also felt rejuvenated as her cough had disappeared. She had been cured. Josanna shouted in excitement as she rushed over towards them.
What just happened?
Waswa, it was amazing. Some random guy just held his hands up and said some words, and now you have returned to us, and I'm no longer sick.
He was still confused, but Josanna pointed to the man who had saved him, and immediately Waswa went on one knee and paid his respect.
Dad? What are you doing?
Josanna, this is not some normal traveler. He's a guardian angel.
You can't be serious. We prayed for someone to look after our daughter all these years. My apologies. Thank you for keeping our daughter safe all this time.
The man calmly turned around and asked them to stand.
Please, you are both far too kind. All the glory goes to the one above.
He is the one that deserves your praise. I'm merely a messenger and servant.
How could we ever repay you or the one who sent you?
Well, for starters, you two can stop fighting amongst each other and learn to work together.
That we can do.
Claire Anne agreed as she wrapped her arms around Waswa. They both thanked Rice and he began to make his way.
Wait!
Yes, Esther is safe and sound. I will be sure to pass your regards to her.
No, that's not what I wanted to say. I wanted to ask, why?
Why what?
Why did you bring my dad back to us? That was no small accomplishment, so please tell me. I want to know. And no encrypted messages this time.
You gave everyone else a second chance at a new life. Figured you deserved the same.
Josanna went speechless for a moment before she found her voice again.
Guardian Angel Rice. Thank you.
Ah, that's quite an upgrade from Creepy Man. Take care of your parents.
She nodded and with a blink of an eye, he disappeared from their sights.